series talk show or whatever that was to say, oh, I'll pull out my gun and shoot someone that tries to come into my house. I mean, this has become nonsensical to the point that I don't know if we're looking at Medea runs for president or not. I mean, this is outstanding what has happened from the black male perspective, and I hope the Republican Party takes note.
Yeah, and you talk about young males and younger voters, Jody Armour. You're a law professor. You know what young people are geared into. Are you know what young people are geared into? Are you surprised when you see?
change. I think he will be not anything like what his detractors have described him as being now that he is liberated. If I'm wrong, you can hold me to that.
I hope you're right.
I think he will. A liberated Donald Trump is going to shock his detractor.
He has said that the assassination attempts had an impact on him. We saw him in many ways return to the very rough and tumble style that we've seen in Donald Trump towards the end of this. But now he will take the stage tonight as the next president of the United States, and he will not be able to run again.
Yeah.
And I think that is enough.
Appointees who can work with him on legislation, who could potentially replace a number of justices on the Supreme Court.
He could build a wall.
He could be a working group in Washington, D.C. We'll see what happens with the House. But he also has been working very hard on his transition, get the right people around him. He talks about the lessons.
Analysis is going to be, there's going to be a lot of time to digest all of this. We'll focus now on what the incoming president is going to say. What do you think the analysis is going to be on the Democratic Party and what
I think it's going to be agonizing. I think it's going to take a little while for consensus to form about what the party needs to do next, or what it did wrong this time. It'll be grudging at first. One can certainly imagine that if the party were smart and shrewd political voices were heeded, that there'd be some major changes in their agenda and their approach in this. And you think of the issue sets that they've tried to run on against this man that failed, and we need to reconsider all of that. And I think it'll take a while. Now, our colleague and friend Mark Halperin, who's been very astute this particular cycle, he thinks there's going to be blood in the streets and people are going to be hysterical. I hope not. But it could happen.
I am really looking forward to reading some of the stories, probably with a lot of anonymous sources amongst Democrats with the recriminations, and it's going to be fast and furious, and you will have people saying that Joe Biden should have dropped out the day after, not dropped out, but said he was not running for re-election on the day after that midterm in 2022, and either endorsed her or said, let there be a primary, and Dr. Jill Biden, there will be thoughts about her, and I wonder how chilly that White House is going to be for the next 90 days as they try to figure it out.
And let me just say that as Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris will certify the election results on January 6th.
A lot of irony in that moment. Harold, your thoughts?
This is how a country is organized, and it's a great education, I think, for people who have very high passions in this race. There are Democrats who were fervently for Joe Biden. He performed poorly during a debate, and the party switched to Kamala Harris, and there was genuine excitement, I think, built over a period of time. And some of that excitement was an aversion and almost a dislike and a disdain for Donald Trump. But I hope it's a moment that we can all grow from, because if we don't, not in a selfish, partisan way, Democrats won't progress. And I don't think you can fly and soar as a great country unless you have both wings working together. And President Trump, tonight, I'm going to be interested in that tone, Kayla. I was reminded of your words, I was reminded of what you said as you shared it. I remembered that story, and I hope and pray for the country tonight that President Trump, who has every right to be joyful, every right to celebrate, will give a speech with that tone tonight that in many ways could help him do all the things that he campaigned on in this campaign.
What does this mean for the never-Trumpers, who are Republicans, and the Lincoln Project people, and Bill Kristol, and people like that, who seem to abandon everything they ever previously believed in order to oppose Donald Trump?
We'll get to the never-Trumpers soon enough and the hundreds of millions of dollars wasted on them. Look, Donald Trump won this on policy and personality. I don't want to be remiss here. He is talking about energy independence, manufacturing, an economy where everybody is working, no new foreign wars, getting out of the entanglements we currently have, respecting and resourcing law enforcement, border patrol, military. And by the way, friends, we don't get those policies without that personality. What did we hear during the Republican primaries? I want Donald Trump's policies without his personality. Good luck with that. You don't get this strength and this resolve and this toughness. You don't get those policies without that. But I want to say this. It's on this phone that Huma Abedin placed a call 2:30 a.m. on November 9th, 2016. And on the other line was Secretary Clinton to concede the race to Donald Trump on my phone. I handed it to him. And I said to Vice President-elect Mike Pence, make sure Hillary actually concedes. She did. And President Trump was gracious to them too. They came to the luncheon at the Capitol after the inauguration. The Obamas and the Clintons were there. I was there to see it myself. And then something just changed. The Washington Post said, let's impeach him at noon, 2 minutes after he's inaugurated. Melania wrote about this in her book. So, Harold, I hear you. I hope everybody can unify. But I got to tell you, my friend, I think it starts with your party and not mine.
Fair enough.
They had this guy in a courtroom. He's not an indoor cat. I get it. They had him in the courtroom. They had him impeached. They had him, and whether people think that was justified or not, now is a good time to respect the will of the people. What about us? The will of the people.
I agree. I'm just saying be a gracious winner and let's move the country forward. I agree. And I know you will. That was my only point.
I got a gracious winner today when I talked to him. I really did. He's known for a while. He was going to, I wrote a piece on FoxNews.com October 11th saying he's going to have a narrow landslide. I think he's felt that for a while, but he wanted to go and earn it.
And I even think the people around him have to be gracious too. I think he will. I know him as well as you. I think the people around him should be gracious as well.
We can always hope.
No, that comes from the top.
Once more, I just want to say how much money was spent on this election. $15.9 billion with the bill. If you spend $1,000 a day for 2,740 years, that would be $1 billion. It was 16 times that. It has been spent on every race, presidency, the whole deal. $16 billion.
Check you can write to every American. What did you
About
say?
$50, if not $40.
About $50.
I just want to say, every presidential race has a medium. You know, you go back to television, cable. This was, in some ways, a podcast experience of a campaign. And those are free to go on podcasts. And you wonder how much of that money really needed to be spent when there's a lot of ways to reach people. But I think it's really interesting and something we'll be talking about a lot in terms of the reach of these endorsements.
Struck by the final
and Musk and the rest of
the final ads where
they were excellent.
They talked about making America great again, but then ending with the assassination attempt and that fist in the air, the iconic image, and the fight.
Absolutely.
Warrior
And
president.
it worked.
Yep. Yeah, toughest son of a gun we ever saw. That was the last note we see in that ad. And I think, well, whatever you think of the guy, you got to admire that.
Yeah.
I mean, the adversity he's faced, and everything we've seen in other presidencies and other political figures who've gone through all kinds of trouble, a pale in comparison to what he's been put through.
No.
Maybe it's time for his enemies to stop it.
Not only that, but the energy that he has is truly amazing. He's the Energizer Bunny. Let's check in with Aisha Housing, speaking of the Energizer Bunny, at Trump headquarters in West Palm. Aisha, this has been a big night all night long. I'm sure it's really getting fever pitch now.
A big night, Brett and Martha, a long campaign for the former president, for all of us, the press corps that have been following him around now for more than a year. The crowd went absolutely nuts when Fox News called it here, and people were hugging each other. They were
that when she gets close